all you have to do in those moments is manage it, right? Understand that, okay, we're back in it. We've leveled it up. We were down to 0, got 2 goals back in. And the last thing you want to do is, all you have to focus on is shape and structure and making sure everyone's disciplined for the next sort of 5-10 minutes.
I kind of want to maybe take the remainder of the games and get your guys' biggest takeaways on some of these, because we had some heavy hitters going head to head. I mean, it's no secret that going into this season that we are looking at some teams that we're considering those early contenders, and we're looking at those teams who may or may not be the dark horses, and we're also unfortunately looking at those teams we're saying you might have a real long shot here. But again, it's only week 2. It's only week 2. But as far as let's see some of the games for us to touch on, whether it's Spirit, or Angel City and Portland, or Orlando and Gotham. If you're just joining us on Sunday night, you're probably coming off of that game, or Chicago and Houston. Cooper, do you have a big takeaway from either of those games you just want to bite into right at the moment?
I think for me, at least, it's got to be top of mind is San Diego Wave and Utah. Utah obviously were kind of floundering last season, looking a little bit better this season. However, my focus is actually on the San Diego Wave, because they, for me, were a big question mark coming into the season, having essentially flipped almost the entire team, including a manager. They had a couple of interims toward the latter part of last season. Jonas Eidvall coming in after resigning from Arsenal. I was wondering how he'd fare in NWSL. And I know it's only week 2, but right now, I'm like possibly overly optimistic, but I think it's all positive. I think we're seeing a lot of good out of San Diego Wave, things that we didn't maybe see last season that I know were trying to be implemented, them trying to figure out when they should and shouldn't be playing direct. Just different tactically. They're a little bit more together as a team. Their passing is a little bit clean. Adriana Leon is an excellent addition. And Delphine Cascarino,
let's go.
like, she put in a shift. I'm like, you know what? I don't think we got to see the best of her, and this will be the season for it.
Let's go.
I couldn't agree more with you there, Cooper. I thought Cascarino stood out for me by a country mile so much, but I was also so intrigued to see how Eidvall would get on in this league, and especially when he resigned from Arsenal, the first thing I thought was, he'll love this league, and I think he'll really do well with it. So when I saw he got the Wave job, I was like, let's go. He's going to do great. And I think he gives that really lovely balance between knowing when to attack, exactly what you're saying, and knowing when to keep the ball. He's to go from Arsenal to the NWSL. That's like the perfect blend. And I feel like Wave, have got the players. I think Leon was, a great recruitment to make before the season started. Daly, he knows really well from playing against Aston Villa, obviously, a lot in the WSL as well. So I was always so intrigued, and genuinely was massively impressed with them at the weekend. I thought, of course, I know that they conceded 2 against Utah, which wasn't great, but I thought from back to front, they looked strong. I thought they were moving the ball really well. And I think Eidvall would be pretty impressed with what he saw from his team. And he'll know as well that this season's long and it's about progression, but to pick up points and mainly based on the performance of doing really well, I thought it was great to see. I thought Cascarino was next level. I'm like, she's gonna be one to watch this season for me for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that she's going to be the one out of the entire squad that is the most benefited from Jonas, his style, his managerial sort of eye, or do you think there's a few standouts that will benefit from this?
I think he'll love working with a player like that when he's huge on sustained attacks. He was so clever at working with forwards of how to keep the ball in key areas of the field so that it doesn't become super transitional, right? We want to keep the ball more and higher up the field, and with forwards knowing when to press, knowing when to just sit back and ease, see what you're seeing, see what the other team's doing, and knowing when to absolutely go. He was really clear at getting that across to players and really good at simplifying little bits of information like that. So I feel like a lot of teams will benefit from him. I genuinely think he's a perfect blend between possession-based and really attacking, forward-thinking football, which players in that team will absolutely love.
Okay, there's some parts of this though. Yes, I'm in agreement with what we've been discussing so far. I think this is a really great start for the Wave. I think it's an even better start for Jonas. I think there's always going to be a little bit of that caveat where you see maybe a coach coming over from Europe, like how quickly are they going to adapt to NWSL? Like, is there going to be a gap? Like, are they going to have a couple hiccups along the way? And maybe those will come. But for now, in the opening 2 weeks, I think there's more positives for the Wave than there are anything else. But I do wonder, like, this was quite the game, I think, for neutrals. If you're looking at it, I mean, we got 5 goals in this one. It ends up being a 3-2 scoreline. Wave just etching out that win where they almost looked like they were gonna drop points. And I think if you're Utah Royals, you got to wonder where do you go from here, because they were one of those teams that scrapped out some points out of week 1, and I think we were eager to see, hey, maybe they're going to build on that, because for a lot of folks out there, a lot of pundits, maybe Utah are kind of riding that dark horse kind of energy. But in a game like this where they kind of drop all the points, you kind of wonder, well, are they actually kind of trending in the right direction? I mean, there was a window of time here where they nab a couple of goals in like an 8 or 9 minute span, getting a goal, Tanaka getting a goal, but then just when they level things, the Wave come right back just 2 minutes later and end up getting this game winner from Corley. And I think in a week where we were just praising McGlynn for the playing out of the back and Koenrants and Coach Koenrants for trying to say, go out there, be brave, play out the back, it kind of bit them a little bit, Kupo, in this one.
It did. Listen, here's the thing. My takeaway for Utah presently is they actually have some really good attacking quality on this side. They just need to shore things up defensively. And I think it will come together. I think they now have the benefit of having Koenrats there for a full preseason now, rather than coming in as an interim and then seeing them out the rest of the season. But yeah, McGlynn is going to have to just, I don't know, threaten the back line, get something together. I don't know what else to do, man. I'm not a defender. I was terrible. They would hate me too. But I don't know. I think it takes time, but the chemistry will surely build. It has to, right? Like, is there the option of them to all do like an escape room or something together?
Wait, I love escape rooms. So good.
Is that A3 escape room after dark? Well, figure it out.
Just an attacking third escape room. Heard it
Jen,
here.
what are you saying after a game like that, Jen? That on the defensive shape side of things, what are you telling your back line?
No, I love what you said after, when your team scores 2 goals, to level it up, and all you have to do in those moments is manage it, right? Understand that, okay, we're back in it. We've leveled it up. We were down to 0, got 2 goals back in, and the last thing you want to do is, all you have to focus on is shape and structure and making sure everyone's disciplined for the next sort of 5-10 minutes. So to lose the leveler really quick after that, I think that's massively disappointing. But I come from a place, I will always want to play out from the back, right? I'm always encouraging my goalkeeper, but it's just a bit of a gift in that sense. And you never want to see, I would always encourage it no matter what. But you just have to recognize, if we've just leveled it and it's 2-2, maybe we go long for a couple of minutes. Maybe we turn them for a couple of minutes just to get that safety net, that confidence back, and just breathe, right? Just settle the game down. And when it comes a little bit chaotic, if you're trying to overplay at the wrong spells of a game, that's for me, it's management. But that comes from communication between players and so many things like that. So yeah, I was a little bit gutted for them getting back into the game and then losing it so quickly.
I hear you. I think one of the other games that we were looking at, maybe for Wave and Utah, we were like looking at it as this game of, okay, who's the team that's going to show us a little bit of what they got? And I think on the other like side of the pendulum swing, you've got like the 2 big dogs kind of going at it. We've got a game against Orlando Pride on the road against Gotham, and who's going to kind of come out on top of this one? These are 2 teams that found themselves making deep playoff runs last year, and obviously the Pride with the titles to show for it. But in these early days of the season, you wonder, hey, maybe there's going to be a mix up or a shake up here. Biggest takeaways for you, Kupo, coming out of this game?
Okay, my lukewarm take out of this game is that I don't think that Orlando have any real weaknesses, but they didn't really show any strengths this game either. When you look at how the goals were scored this match, it was off of a pen, Jess Carter making a bonehead foul in the box that Marta managed to get that pen. Fair, that's technique. And Lily Reel, who got the second fastest own goal in league history, very unfortunate way to start a game. And then Gotham just weren't able to turn back around. There was just a lot of disjointed passing. I think it was Shapansky who, I'll say, this is my weird hill that I'll die on. I hate a back heel. 9 times out of 10, it goes nowhere. Okay. Or you end up turning the ball over and nothing good happens. But for the sake of the beauty of playing, once in a while, there's like a ooh moment. And I guess that's what she was going for. That led to that entire turnover that caught Angelina carrying deep into Gotham's final third. And from there, I just feel like they did negate each other, but it wasn't the most beautiful game that Orlando have ever played.
I think that's fair. But look, I think that's also maybe not only is it fair, I think maybe it's a little bit expected. And when you're looking at the two teams who are going head to head,
I do. I think Gotham is still a team in flux because they're definitely not the team they were last season. They have some figuring out to do. Juan Carlos Amaros went crazy with the subs. I think Mac and one other player were the only ones left on the bench of those available. I don't think it served anything. I think it was just like, hey, get some minutes. But they don't look as confident as they previously have in the last 2 seasons, and it's warranted.
Yeah, I think I think that's fair. I think for me, in terms of the Sunday night matches, I actually went to Chicago's home opener and watched them take on the Dash, and there was a little bit of the kind of who's going to show me what energy out of this one, because I think there's a lot of teams that I had put in my piece on .com who are the long shots. I think there's a little bit of a gap kind of showing itself in NWSL, and it's something that I'm paying attention to in 2025, where we've got these handful of teams that we kind of feel like deep down are going to be those contenders, and then this gray area where anything can happen. And then you have this other category where you're like, sure, this team could be 8th. And maybe that's a compliment, but it's also really kind of not. And I do wonder, when I saw these two teams go to take it on head to head, I was like, who's going to show me something here? And I think at the very least, like the Dash is showing me that maybe they can go ahead and compete for an 8th seed and make their way, sneak into the playoffs. At the very least, they are showing that Chicago is still struggling to kind of get their ideas down into it. We saw a little bit that the Stars went ahead and tried to press a little bit in the beginning, which was a pleasant surprise for me, but you just saw them kind of fade a little bit out over the stretch of the remainder of a game. And the Dash at the very least are showing that they've got some principles that they're trying to establish, a team identity that they're trying to show. So I have to imagine in a long season that will eventually continue to kind of iron itself out. As far as any other games or any big takeaways that you have from this weekend that you'd like to touch on, Jen, what do you want to hit us with tonight?
I would probably just go as far as saying I think Orlando 2 clean sheets is really strong, right? And I think ultimately that's kind of why it might not have been the most exciting game when you're looking at goals. I think they have a very strong defense as well. And when it comes to two teams that don't concede a lot of goals, naturally that's going to happen. I think Raffaele, I'm a big fan of Raffaele, teammates over at Arsenal for a number of years, and it's been awesome to see her back to full fitness and in flow back in the Orlando team. And I think she's going to be huge for them this year. Big fan of Raffaele, but I think Orlando, 2 clean sheets, they're always going to score, whether it's a PK or a scrappy one. That's what they do. They break teams down, and when you've got Marta on your team, to add that bit of flair. So for me, 2 clean sheets for Orlando, that's a solid start.
Anna Morehouse, shouts.
Yeah.
England call-up win.
Another one.
Yeah.
Get another one. Let's go.
Maybe she back heels.
I know we're watching. So
That's it. Never mind. I take it back. I rescind my vote.
I love it. I will also say before we break and go to the final segment, for Thorns and Angel City, they managed to squeeze out a draw. And I think when you take a look at the table, kind of going into week 3, everyone, with the exception of Chicago Stars FC, have managed in some capacity to scrap out some points in the opening 2 weeks of the season. And I think for Portland Thorns and I think for Angel City, again, teams that I have in my category of long shots to try to figure things out over a long season, it was very important for them to try to go ahead and get some points. The energy where it was like, you either have to beat the crap out of the other one and take them all, or you definitely aren't leaving here without something. And it was really cool to see some really good goals from Raylan Turner for the Thorns and Kennedy Fuller for Angel City.